Hey everyone, recently I was helping a colleague think through a particular analysis that they wanted to do, where they wanted to go to Trustpilot, look up reviews for a particular business, and then do some sort of themes and distribution and semantic analysis on it. So we ended up using a combination of Google Sheets, which everyone knows how to use, and some AI tools. And I thought I'd make a short video to show you guys what we did. So let's get started. First of all, let's go open up the page that we want, which has the reviews. In this case, we've chosen to do WPJ heating on Trustpilot. As you can see, you scroll down, they have a whole bunch of reviews, and we might actually go put a filter and say last 30 days. And so now let's say that these are the reviews that we want to analyze. The next thing we want to do, just in terms of setting up our workspace, is to set up Google AI Studio. I've created a new prompt that's called reviews extraction, and it's a very simple prompt. I'm saying just extract the reviews from the page, give me a CSV comma separated file with a separated by a pipe. I'm not using an actual comma because the comma could be one of the characters in the review itself. And I've decided that I want review ID, review title, review text, and rating. These are the only four things I'm interested in. I'm also going to set up a new sheet. I'm calling it review analysis with AI in sheets, and we will see what we do with this sheet in a minute. Okay, so let's go to the page. How do we go from this page to extracting the reviews? Well, you right click on the page, you say view page source. As you can see, a whole bunch of gobbledygook has popped up. Let's just go down and see what's happening. So if I scroll for a bit, and this takes a little bit of getting used to, but if you scroll for a bit, at some point you will start seeing a pattern. You can see that there are reviews that are here, and they seem to have a rating, and there is a review body, and there is a bunch of other things in here. So this is what we're going to use the AI for. So let's copy all of this. Let's jump over to Google's AI Studio, and let's paste it all here. And now we're going to make temperature as 0 because we don't really need it to be creative here. And we're saying just extract the reviews from the page. And let's hit run and see what we get with this. Okay, as you can see, it started extracting out a bunch of things. It's always a good idea to do a quick cross check. So we're going to see, we're looking for a great end result with WPJ. WPJ were great. Let's see if these reviews actually exist so that we make sure that the LLM has not hallucinated. And let's go down. Great end result with WPJ. WPJ were great as expected. Friendly people and happy to help out. Do we have that? Friendly people and happy to help out. Excellent. So this seems to have done a fair and correct job. So we're going to copy all of this to the clipboard, head over to our sheet. Our first sheet is called raw data. I'm just going to go here and hit Control V. It's pasted it, and I've gotten a little option here. I'm going to say split my text into columns, and for my separator I'm going to choose a custom separator, and I'm going to use that vertical line called a pipe. And the reason why we use the pipe now becomes clear because now we've gotten this nicely separated. So I always like to format my files, so bear with me while I do a tiny bit of formatting. Let's wrap everything, resize the columns a bit so that this is now a little easier for us to read. Okay, so now we've started creating our raw data. We've got 20 reviews in here. Maybe let's get a few more. So if I go here, I scroll down to the bottom of the page, and some of this can be automated with fancier scripts later, but we're just doing the simple version. And now we have 40 reviews. Excellent. So we have a bunch to start from. A lot of these reviews are rated 5, so we might need to do more if we want some diversity. But let's work with this for now. So we're done with extracting our raw data, so I can close off the review pages, and I can actually close off Google as well because that's all we were going to do with Google. Okay, now let's do the fun part, which is all in sheets. So I'm going to set up a few things and it'll become clear what they do later. So I'm going to set up this thing called prompts and settings, and then we're going to do our first analysis. I'm just going to call it analysis 1. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to look at all of these 40 reviews, and we want to see what are even the themes. Like, I don't actually want to read this, I want the AI to read this, and that's what we're going to set up a prompt for. So I'm going to copy paste this from a place that I had already done it. So for theme identification, I'm going to copy paste it here so that you don't have to see me typing for a long time. And this is what I have. Okay, so I have, okay, this looks nice now. So system prompt, system prompt is very simple. We are saying you're a detail-oriented analyst and you rely only on the provided information. The user prompt that we have is, we are saying look over this set of user reviews, identify the top, let's actually do only 5 most frequently occurring themes. Let's call it a theme name, and accompanying one-line description, which is a short description about what kind of issues are covered. Themes should be distinct from each other. Return, we're going to ask it to return the answer as theme name colon description with as a list of items separated by pipe. This pipe again makes a reappearance, and you'll see why we are doing some of this formatting. We are also saying no other explanatory text or formatting. We are now taking temperature and putting it as one of the inputs. This helps if you decide you want the analysis in your sheet to get a little more creative. The easiest way to do that is by tweaking the temperature. So we're going to put temperature as a parameter as well. Okay, so now what is our analysis 1 actually going to do? So analysis 1 is actually simple. Analysis 1 is just going to be theme identification. Not really doing a lot here, but I like to keep my analyses separate. The other color coding that you might have actually noticed here is I like to keep my input text in blue so that I always remember that if I change that text, some future formula may get affected. And the other thing I like to do is I like to make my output boxes, which are the outputs of some of these LLM linked formulas, I like to keep them green. Again, it helps to know not to override those boxes accidentally. Okay, so now this is where some of the AI magic starts. So what we've gotten here is, in extensions, I've got this thing called Widget Labs AI add-on, and this is an add-on that we've developed. I can choose a model, I can put in a API key which is related to Widget Labs. We will talk about that later, but that's where some of this magic comes from, and it shows itself up as a function called LLM, which is going to send a request to Gemini. So now you can see in this function I have a system prompt. So for my first analysis, I am going to pick my system prompt from here, lock it with the $$ formula. Then it has a user prompt, and so I'm going to pick my user prompt also from here, which we just talked about. Let's lock that in as well. The third thing is the input text, and this is where things get interesting. Now I can go to my raw data and I can take this entire set of 3 columns as my input text, and then the last input is temperature, which we will again pick up from our very convenient prompts and settings tab. So now I've completed this formula and I hit enter, and as you can see, it's going to think a little bit, and let's wrap this nicely. And you can see that it's identified a few themes. It's got service quality, professionalism, responsiveness, efficiency, timeliness. Now, of course, in this example, but let's keep going. So now that we've identified the themes, why did we separate them by a pipe? I will show you shortly. So let's say, because now we want to convert them into columns. So let's do just a quick test splits. Let's see if we can actually split this. I'm going to use the split formula. Just going to take this text. I'm going to split by the pipe delimiter, and I'll hit enter. And let's also color. Okay. Let's wrap. let's color code as green so we don't override. And now you can see that I have my themes that can move nicely into columns. This is great. So now we've extracted the themes. We know that they can be cleanly moved into columns. And if I wanted to do 10 themes, like 10 themes instead of 5, I would have just gone to prompts and settings, and instead of this 5, I would have said 10, and it would still work. Okay, now let's bring up another sheet. Let's call it analysis 2, which is where we will do some of the more fun stuff. So in analysis 2, now we actually want to analyze all the reviews. So let's first start by taking all of our raw data, copying it as is. Yep, we need everything. Okay, excellent. So we will copy it in as is. I might actually, I don't need to see the reviews here, so I can save some space. Okay, and now what we do here is we take this same split formula and we start bringing in, so we do split. I take themes from analysis 1, I split them by the pipe. Excellent. And let's, as is our convention, let's color this green. Let's wrap it so we can read it. Let's bold it so it looks like a column. Excellent. So now for each of these reviews, we want to analyze each of the rows according to what is in the column header. So now this is where we start doing our more complex formulae. So let's see what do we want to do here. So we want to have first let's set up our new prompt and setting, and here we want a review classification exercise. So we are going to do this. So we're doing review classification. I'll come to all the prompts, but our system prompt is the important one. Here again, we're saying you're an analyst, you're classifying reviews of a heating services company, or you're classifying reviews of a given company. This is more generic. We are saying you will use only the provided data. Your output, and let me look for simple references only. Let me enter a new line here. We are saying your output is as follows. We are saying output NA if that particular theme is not mentioned. We are saying if there is a mention, then score the sentiment as an integer between -3 to +3. If it's a positive experience, we are giving a positive score. If it's a neutral experience, we are giving 0. And if it's a negative experience, we are giving -1 to -3. So this is a fairly involved system prompt. Let's actually see it in action. So we say equals LLM, we pick this system prompt. Now the thing we are asking it to analyze is service quality, and the input text that we are going to give it is the review title and the review text. And then the temperature is, we don't want it to be too creative, so let's keep it as 0. Now let's see what we get here. Okay, so it's spitting out a number, and but I can see there's something wrong with this number. It seems to have another new line after it. So let's open this up. Let's trim it so that the new line goes away. Okay, new line has gone away, so we're good. Now let's see if we can do some conditional formatting. So let's say that I wanted to color code this. I can go here, I'm going to do conditional formatting, I am going to do a color scale, and I want a red to through scale. I want minimums to be red. This sounds good. Okay, so now let's see if this actually works. If I do a 3, okay, 3 is getting colored, 1 is not getting colored. That's probably because it's thinking 1 is text and not a number. So let's make it a number now. So we can use the let formula. Let's say we say this is val, and we have all this, and then we say let's see, 1 second. Okay, so we say if the val is not equal to NA, then we're going to do val, which will make it a number, and that's it. Okay, so now this has become a number, and I have had my dummy 3 here to see if the conditional formatting works. I'll take out my dummy 3, and now we've got something working. However, this formula as it stands, I can't actually drag it, because you'll notice that a bunch of the other stuff in here, I just picked the cells directly. So let's start locking stuff down. So I want to lock the row here. So I will say $1, and then here I actually want to I want to take the review title and the review text, but I only have one array as input. So now instead of this, I'm going to replace it with a concatenate formula. The first thing I'm going to say is, okay, what's my review title? This is going to be locked. The next thing I'm going to have is a colon, a space, then I take my review title, and in my review title I lock the column so that I can drag the formula horizontally. Let's put in a little separator, then let's pick review text, which we shall lock. Then let's put in another colon, then let's pick the actual review text, in which we will lock the column, and that should be good. And let's see if it has understood this, and it still says 1, so it's probably right. Okay, now the real test comes. Let's drag this formula all the way through and see if it actually ends up picking things. And no, it doesn't. Something has gone wrong. So let's see what has gone wrong. All of this is right, all of this is right. If val is not equals NA, then value of val, else NA, this should all work out. Let's see. Aha, we have changed the system prompt. Not good. Forgot to lock this. So let's lock this guy. Let's try to drag again and cross our fingers, and voila, some numbers have started to pop up. So now we can take this whole row, and now let's just do the magic. Let's go all the way down to the bottom, select all these rows, select all of these cells, and hit Control D. And as you can see, a whole bunch of LLM calls have been fired off. Each of them is going to start doing the exact comparison that we asked for, and we should start seeing them pop up. Let's see. Bunch of them are refusing. What's going on? Quota has been exhausted. This is an interesting one. So this happens if you're using the free API key. So give me a second while I swap out in my settings for actually a paid API key, and you shall see this again. Okay, let's try this again. Let me go into my settings for a second. Let's go put in our new API key. Let's also move it to a light model. It should probably be a bit faster. I don't think this actually matters here. Okay, we are gonna try this again. Drag, ask to refresh. Okay. Delete these guys. And let's try this one more time. Let's see. Hopefully the new key should work now. And yep, it is beginning to populate a whole lot of stuff, and we're seeing a lot of greens because, as we know, these were all 4-star and 5-star reviews. So that's a little bit of a bummer. My bad for not choosing the greatest example, but as you can see, we have now gone and for each of these columns, so for each of these themes, we have gone and rated each of these reviews, which are sitting in rows. And then last but not the least, what we can do is we can take this whole thing and we can do another common Excel thing, which is create a pivot table. We can call this pivot table analysis. And now we can start doing things like this is where review ID comes in handy because I can do count of review ID. So I have 39 total reviews. Great. Now let's take service quality and put it into rows. Let's take the rating and put it into columns. And here you can see a very nice distribution of of what's going on here. So we're saying, okay, for the ratings 4 and 5, this is how many this is how many number of there are 0 with 4, 1 with 5. What is this? Sorry. So for service quality, there are only 2 reviews where it says NA. For 34 of those reviews, service quality is rated as a 3. This is on our -3 to +3 scale, and that correlates correctly with the user rating, which is given as 5. And of course, you can do more stuff here. I want to show you one very quick thing, which is now if we decide to, and I'm going to do a Control Shift tab to open up some of our older tabs here. So I'm going to go to this view source tab and I'm going to say, I'm just going to make this page equals 3. Let's hit enter. I think I've got the right page, but just to be safe, let me open up. Let's just go properly to the 3rd page. Let's look for some of the not great reviews. So no, nothing here, nothing here. This is a really good company. Let's remove last 30 days. Okay, so here's a bunch of 3-star reviews. Let's go to page source. Let's Control A, Control C. Let's go back to our reviews extraction. Let's say now this page, paste all of this source. Let's run. We're trying to get some of the lower rated reviews, and I want to show you how the analysis very nicely updates itself. Okay, it's begun to process a bunch of things. Okay, so copy this, go here, and now the virtues of organizing our sheet nicely will be evident. So now I can go to raw data, and what I usually like to do is, okay, let's go here, let's paste, let's split to columns, custom separator is pipe. This looks good. I don't know what password it's trying to save. Remember to delete the row. Now we have a bunch of 3s and 2s that have come in. Prompts and settings remains the same. Analysis, of course, needs to change. Here we are in our input cells. We were going up to D40, and now we're going to go up to D48. So analysis 1, change analysis 1, add a few more rows, and you can see that as soon as this cell starts to update, we will give it a little bit of time. Maybe barfing because I had changed out my model to be a small model. Yep, that is what is happening. So let's go back. Let's go to settings. These are some of the quirks. Flashlight is not doing what we wanted. So let's do Gemini Flash. We do save. Okay. As you can see, this thing broke. The light model couldn't do the formatting right. So now this is where I can show you another handy thing. Now I can go and make my temperature 0.01 simply as a means of re-triggering this analysis. Because when the inputs to the formula change, Google goes and Google Sheets goes and changes this thing automatically. it has still decided that it doesn't, it has still decided to disobey our no other explanatory text or formatting or preludes. Okay, let's try this. Hopefully this prevents it from bringing up prelude. Let's see. Okay, and it has decided to put a bunch of stars. So okay, this is not really working as we wanted, but you can, and as you can see, the analysis here is also broken, which means the pivot table is also going to break. So this, without planning it this way, I'm showing you one of the downsides of doing something like this. So what we could have done is we could have not carried this formula all the way through. We could have done the themes at one point and just kept them locked and not actually carried them all the way through. Okay, we're going to make one last attempt. So I'm adding the words here. I'm saying no other explanatory text or formatting. Format is strict since it is parsed automatically. And maybe we hope that the model does something. So let's go to analysis one. Okay, it has decided to come back and obey us again. And as we can see, a concern about pricing has come up. This probably came from the low rated reviews that we put in. The splits still work. You go to analysis 2. These have now updated themselves automatically. And however, we still need to add the additional rows. So let's go back to our raw data. Let's pick our new rows. Control C here. Come to analysis 2. Control V here. We can keep it as it is. I can take, whoops, sorry about that. Jump to the wrong tab. Okay, I went to go down here. Let's go pick up all of these guys. Let's press Control D, and you can see all of these cells start to beautifully update themselves. A whole bunch of reds, which was probably to be expected. And then I jump to pivot table number 2, and my responsiveness now has some negative scores creeping in as well. And my totals, actually pivot table is still, doesn't include everything, so pivot table goes to 48. Let's make sure that it was 48. Yep, pivot table goes to 48, and you can see all of these numbers updating automatically. So that's it, guys. So a quick recap. We started with a Trustpilot company. We took the source gobbledygook. We went to Google AI Studio and cleaned out only the parts that we wanted. Then we came and we put that into a raw sheet. We had a nice prompts and settings set up for our two-step process. Step number 1 was extract the themes, which used one of the prompts, and we got the themes out nicely formatted and converted into columns. In step number 2, we took all of our raw data, we added our columns, and we did the second piece of analysis, which is for each review, compare it against the themes and give it a score. We color coded this, and then we pivoted this. So now we know what the themes are, we know the distribution of the various reviews across these various themes. We have some nice color coding, and then of course, the sky and your creativity is the limit here. So that's all, guys. One quick thing to talk about at the end. You could notice that a whole bunch of this stuff was possible because of the LLM function. This is something that me and a few colleagues are building together at Widget Labs. Would encourage you to check it out. This is still in very early preview, and in the coming weeks we will have a trusted tester launch where we will not just have this one function but a whole host of other interesting and very useful AI driven functions that you can bring to Google Sheets so that you can use the power of AI in a tool that you're very comfortable with. Thank you.